Hello, I am Joy Wisdom, and I am the founder of Alunas Zest of Life program. In this Zest of Life program, there are two arms. One of them is about the D.A.R.E practitioners training, of which I founded back in 2010. It is a combination of clinical and energetic methods we use. One of the most fascinating things is we deal with past life and health issues. Essentially, people don't link past life with health issues today, but very much they are involved. And of course, past life influences came about in 1994 with Many Masters, Many Lives from psychiatrist Brian Wiz, who brought it to our attention through psychotherapy. Since then, people have gone on to talk about regression, timelining, hypnotherapy, to find those links of past life influences. We don't use any of those methods, but we do find plenty of past life influences that are affecting us today. It's gone way, way beyond Brian Wiz's first acknowledgement of past life affecting us emotionally and mentally and affecting our mindsets, etc. It goes way, way beyond that. And one of the other things that I found in my quest in 2000 was there were other aspects here that affected us apart from past lives: transference from the womb, the formation, the emotions of the father, the mother, mostly the mother, because of the hormonal and biological states that she was creating while pregnant. We find a lot of people that are carrying parents' emotions, parents' lack of choice, and mindsets, behavior that is still affecting them today. So when we talk about reincarnation and past lives, they are massively impacting us in everything we do, even down to your self-esteem, self-worth, how you interact socially, whether you can create good relationships or not. It's nothing to do with self-esteem. It's what's happened in your past that has created a template for you to continue to work today. I call this ground-hog-day living. La la la. We live to paradigms that are out of kilter with what we are now and who we are living. Our agenda now, our life script, is very different from what we've lived before. Karma can be involved and very much can be influenced from transference, from past lives, but also from the lineage and the culture that you're living. So reincarnation has opened massive, massive doors for me involved in past life health issues. We've had cancer before, we've had digestive issues before, we've had aches and pains before, skeletal injuries that are there as an imprint today. It won't show up on an x-ray, but with the sixth sense methods that we use, we can see that. We can see those imprints, and we work with the body, so the body tells us what's going on. We are more than the physical, and we are more than the mind. We need a whole holistic approach to ensure that we get rid of all of these roots so that we can live now and we can live this life script. Through my teachings and one-to-one sessions, I found that people are only living, I think the worst case has been 2% of this life. 98% of other lives, other impacts, other adverse trauma, other limitations on our systems. We've all got organs, we've all got systems, but my goodness, the functions of those systems and organs and how well they are working for us is very unique to each individual, dependent upon what's happened to you previously. And this is being now played out by long COVID. Fit people who are at the gym, they're doing their running, they have very careful about what they eat, etc., doing all the right things. And yet they are the ones that have fallen really hard and find it really challenging to recover from COVID. The influences from past lives, past life events and traumas, impacts upon us fit like a glove. It can be very challenging to detect, but it's there. Finding all of those roots repeated itself in other lives. One of the stories that I tell my students is about a man we call Jack. Jack was wealthy in his time. He had an estate and he had employees. He was very good to his employees. There was one teenager that he took under his wing. He could see the potential for him. He wanted to groom him for management and to take on some of the responsibility. He liked him. He saw as an adopted son. And it was, as he thought, a very good relationship, a very good situation. He was helping his family, giving him better breaks, more to live for, being rewarded for that. The young lad, we'll call him Tom, was very jealous of Jack, thought that he should have what Jack has. It was his right. He had a very different attitude about Jack. And one day they were out and Jack was showing him what his plans were for the land, etc., and what they could do, and just sharing his visions with Tom. And Tom suddenly flew into a rage and hit Jack over the head with a rock. And he beat him up, basically, and left him to die like a stray dog. Jack was shocked, dumbfounded. How could Tom do this? I've treated him so well. I've given him a lot. And yet he's treated me like this. The experiences and feelings at the time of death are very, very profound for us. So much so that they can become very dominant within us. And Jack died. He wasn't supposed to die in that life. He was supposed to live to an old age and do more good, which is what he was doing. He was quite radical in those times. When Jack came back into life, his life script for this additional life didn't even register. Jack was so ingrained with the emotions and the levels of mistrust that were founded at his deathbed. He couldn't have good relationships. He couldn't even interact with people very well. He had no trust. He was waiting for the stab in the back, and he would not open himself to other people. He became very narrow in his thinking. He had a very lonely life because he couldn't interact. All the goodness that he had from that previous life disappeared. And the dominant factor here was survival. He couldn't have relationships. He interacted with people. He was very reserved, withdrawn. And it would take an awful lot of putting things into place to help Jack to love again, to trust again, to have faith. And there would be an awful lot of arrangements to be able to help Jack to get back on track. It could take 10, 15 lives to do that. And in the meantime, he's losing out on all of these experiences and developments that he was on in the life of Jack. I explain to my students that just because you have an agenda doesn't mean to say it's going to play out. It also means that you can have abundance in one life and nothing in the next because of what's happened to you. And believe me, Jack didn't have huge amount of abundance in this life because he couldn't interact in that way. These impacts and adverse experiences do follow through in other lives. And they then create a baseline for living, as it did for Jack. Obviously, because he wasn't continuing from where he left off in that previous life, he now has an awful lot to catch up with. It's a bit of a till roll that we have missed out. A lot of these things have interrupted with our life scripts, caused, yes, huge emotional and mental impacts that we can't get over. Anger, fear, that in some cases, when I talk to people, they say, well, I have no reason to have this fear. I have no reason to have this anger. And yet I live it. Depression is another one. We can live depression from other lives. You can also live depression from formation in the womb. The transference of that from a couple of generations ago can be yours to live. Not yours created, but the formation will create it. So we need to look at a much, much bigger picture around mental and emotional issues. There's also emotional pain. We can have aches and pains, and you can take all the medication you like, but it doesn't really work because it's emotional pain. And that emotional pain is from reincarnation and previous impacts, but also from the womb. So there is a huge mismatch here that people can be living. And with the development of the roles and finding overveiling from previous lives, the methods that I've developed with D.A.R.E work, and they work fast. It is a ticket to get your life back. And believe me, we do help people get life back. So there's no need for you to suffer or continue on this treadmill of Groundhog Day, because you can make a big difference to your health, your mental health, and to live with grace and ease, because that's what life should be. If you want to find out more, please go to my website, www.alunus.co.uk. There are plenty of videos on YouTube, Facebook, and so on various themes, etc. Check us out. My name is Joy Wisdom, and even if you don't want to train for yourself, you can receive on a one-to-one. It is specialist, it's very advanced, but my goodness, it gives you answers and stops the treadmill. And I look forward to seeing you or connecting or teaching at some point. We have books, CD, DVDs, downloads. I look forward to seeing you soon. In the meantime, which life are you living today? Think about it.